Working group is on oceans and water resources. It will be co-chaired by Senator John Kerry and Robert Northery of New Zealand. Senator John Kerry is another active member of the United States Senate in the issue of environmental protection. From Massachusetts, and since his days in the Massachusetts state government, Senator Kerry has been working to raise awareness of the problem of acid rain and other problems affecting the environment. As his very first proposal in the last two sessions of Congress, Senator Kerry has introduced comprehensive acid rain legislation. As a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, he has been able to address international environmental concerns such as ocean dumping, global warming, and mineral exploration in Antarctica. He is a true leader in protecting our coasts and the rest of our environment, and currently serves as the Vice Chair of the National Ocean Policy Subcommittee. It is my pleasure to introduce Senator John Kerry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and fellow parliamentarians. We are obviously gathered here with a remarkable sense of shared urgency regarding each of our working group subjects. And the timing, I think, could not be more appropriate. Last weekend, on Earth Day, millions of our fellow world citizens gathered all around the planet, suggesting that not only must individuals make personal choices in order to change lifestyles, but that governments must do more to act as catalysts and as instruments of change. Many people asked afterwards, what after Earth Day? What next? And I would respectfully suggest that each of these work groups and this gathering is the next. We are the next. We are the opportunity to prove that lawmakers heard those voices and are willing to try to respond. So our working group on oceans and water resources gathers with the belief that we are advancing a new journey in international relations. The redefining of the geopolitical dialogue and conflict in the context of growth, as President Fabius suggested. The moving towards an economic and environmental combination which forces the driving concern of our nations to redefine both national and international security in that context. Nowhere do we believe that will be more true than in our respective governments' policies about water. The potential for severe shortages and for continued degradation of existing supply of water, the reduction of the ocean's food supply, which threatens the future of the human species and others, the short-sighted and negligent development policies of most nations across the globe, not only threaten us through disease, flooding, drought, contamination of food stocks, and other effects, but also threaten to provide a source of political instability, and even in the case of some nations, the possibility of war. Consider for a moment the enormity of the challenge in the following. By the year 2000, Poland will have no potable water at the tap. The Aral Sea continues to leave ships on dry land and fishing ports 40 miles from water. Freshwater shortages are on the verge of becoming in the 1990s what energy shortages were in the 1970s. Disputes over water have already erupted in arid regions. Of 200 major world river systems, almost 150 are shared by 2 nations, and more than 50 river systems are shared from anywhere by 3 to 10 nations. Notwithstanding this, there are only 30 sharing agreements in effect in the world today. Obviously, as competition for water, for agriculture, and all other purposes continues to increase, the potential for conflict between individuals and nations increases with it. Every year, microorganisms in water are responsible for 80% of all illness worldwide. And of the 15 million children who die each year, 12 million tragically succumb to water-related disease. Commercial fishermen now catch 87 million tons of fish every year, of food product from the ocean, a 600% increase over the tons caught in 1950. Scientists tell us the ocean can supply perhaps 100 million tons per year, a limit which we are rapidly approaching, recognizing that the demand for seafood will double by the year 2000. Each night, more than 30,000 miles of drift nets, monofilament netting, are put out by the fishing fleet in the Northwest Pacific, trapping not only their intended prey, but every species of fish, marine mammals, and seabirds, and taking them as unintended victims. So we will discuss in our work group not only these issues, but the discharge of oil, and particularly the issue of the once pristine Antarctic, which is now threatened by commercial exploitation. We will wrestle with all these issues and more, and we will have an open agenda, and I am delighted to be joined by Mr. Richard Northey of the New Zealand Parliament and Environmental Caucus Committee. Captain Cousteau will join us in the course of the afternoon for a discussion of Antarctica. And Jean-Yves Ludéo of France will join me as a member of the coordinating committee to help formulate our resolution regarding these issues. Obviously, we have an enormous amount to discuss. We have extraordinary economic stakes at every turn. We have prejudice and suspicion to overcome. We will have equities to balance, and we will have to struggle with definitions of fairness. And most of all, we have human needs and aspirations to satisfy. We will exchange our successes and our failures, and I look forward to an extremely interesting dialogue and exchange on this issue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.